Okay. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to understand static synchronization, okay, and synchronized block, which are under the part of thread, okay, threads. Okay, already I have briefed that what is thread. Okay, so first of all, whatever the IDE integrated development environment I am using, this is called Visual Studio Code. Why? Because Visual Studio Code, so many Java IDEs are there. One is Visual Studio Code and JetBrains, IntelliJ, Eclipse. So many are there. So, do you know what is integrated development environment? So, what is integrated development environment? It will assist us to write the code, edit the code, compile the code, and execute the code. Integrated development environment. All are integrated in one user interface. Okay, you can write the code, edit the code, compile the code, and run the code, execute the code. So IDE, integrated development environment. So it has inbuilt compiler. Okay. So let us see what is happening here. First of all, I am going to create a Java project. First of all, here you click here, show and run commands. Click on Java, create Java project. Then click on no build tools. Then in your computer, select your drive. I have only C drive. If you want to store your Java project in a folder, okay, file in a folder means directory. So click on that. Here I have a folder, file folder, that is called VS Code _ Java. You select this location, select the project location. Now here in this cursor blinking, you keep your file name, Java file name, okay, with the .java extension. Take a file name, any file name you can take. So today we will take somewhat different, like what you know, which is very that is bazaar. Suppose I have taken bazaar. So bazaar, always file name, capital letter starting. Okay, then you enter any file name you have taken. It doesn't matter, XYZ you can take. Then here your file name, this is, click on this source. So app.java, you change this as bazaar. Okay, rename. Okay, change your file name as bazaar. And then okay, whatever, bazaar.java. Okay, now enter here. Your workplace will be opened. This is open. You maximize this. Okay, now see here, your file is bazaar.java. Okay, that is stored in a folder VS Code Java. In C drive VS _code _ Java. Okay. Now, if it is Java file .java, your class must be equal to file name. That is very important. Otherwise, no, you will get error. In compilation, you will get the error and you will move here and there, and you will not be able to sort out actually what is the problem. Okay. Now, come down. So this is the class. This class means your main class. Huh? You need to understand that this is the main class. Write your for your reference. Otherwise, you will Suppose many classes you created, that moment you will be in confusion that where is my main class? This is your main class. This is your main method. Under this main method, one instruction here, one statement is there. Okay. So if I want to execute, I can execute. Okay. Because main class is open with open brace, close with brace, and main method is closed. So you can execute this one. So if you execute this one, what happened? You will get the printout of this hello world. So you will get the printout of hello world. So who will execute this one? So without creating of any thread, I have not created any thread here. Okay, just one main class is here and one main method is here on main method. Under this main method, one statement, one line of statement that is called body. So if anything written under the main method, any line of code, one line of code, two lines of, that is called your body. Okay, this is called your method name. Under then somewhat access modifiers. Okay, what is the access level of your method, whether it is public. Okay, how do you want to access this method? Either the method will be accessed with the creation of the object, otherwise without creation of the object. If the object will, whether any object is created, that method can be called with the object, so that method can be called as public. So if there is no any method, it's just I want to call this method with the class name. So that is called static method. Void means it will not return anything. This is the main method name. Okay. So who has executed this line of code? That is the main thread. The main thread execute the main method, which is part of main class. Okay. This is executed by your main thread. So I told you that in the previous classes, what is thread? Thread is what? I told you that a small light process, lightweight process of sub-process of a process, the process of a process. I told you that within the thread, some lines of code. I told you that this line of code executed by the main thread means how many lines of code? Only one line of code, one statement is here. So in thread, some lines, 5 lines, 4 lines, 10 lines may be executed. Okay, that is called thread. Means small piece of code. A small piece of code is called thread. So what is the advantage of thread? Thread, what happened? Threads are independent programs. So once they are independent, they will not disturb other. If there is any impact over one thread, suppose one thread is error, so it will not affect other threads because they are independent. One is that threads will share shared memory. Threads will share shared memory. So memory occupation is less because same memory area is being accessed, used by many threads. That is called shared memory. So that moment what happened? Memory management is very easy and less memory will be used. One is that threads are independent programs. Another one is that threads can support the developer to run many applications. Okay. So there are so many advantages for the threads. So as I told you, that thread is a small piece of code which is part of a process. Process may have lengthy code, 1,000 lines of code. Simply I want to show you, you come in your computer, you click on task manager, you type task manager. Okay. And then If task manager of your laptop or computer opened, you click on the performance tab. You click on performance tab here. You click on performance tab. Suppose if performance tab you have clicked here, see just beneath of this, how many processes are running here? 260 processes are running. For the 260 process, how many threads are running? 4092 threads are running. For how many process? 260 process. Means every process subdivided. Process again subdivided into so many sub process. Okay, maybe one process have how many lines of code? We can't see. We can't see that for one process. For the process is running for which application? How many applications are running? Apps are running. Okay, some background process are maybe there. So every process may have so many threads. A thread is what? A small piece of code. Okay, so this is CPU 3.43 gigahertz. Okay, memory is this much of memory. Okay, this is somewhat I want to show you. Okay, now come down. So this line of code executed by the main thread. So in the previous classes, I told you that what is thread, and then after how to achieve the what are the ways to create the threads. What are the ways? I told you that there are two ways by we can create the thread. One is by extending a class. Another one is that by implementing a runnable interface. By extending a class, okay, by implementing runnable interface. There are two ways to create the thread. I have conducted classes. Okay. Next is what I have explained about thread. What are the advantages of the thread? I have briefed, and how to create what are the ways. Then multi-threading. I told you that I have conducted all the classes. If all of you missed the classes, so many students have requested me that, sir, the classes are, you have conducted a lot of classes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we have missed the classes. So all the classes gradually I want to keep the classes on YouTube. Okay, you can see there, and you can, if you have any doubt, you can ask the questions in the classes, and you can demand the classes also if for that any topics, if you want to learn from any, that is C++, Java, Python, you can demand the classes. Mostly I am trying to help you. So whatever the classes I have conducted, I want to keep all the classes with my voice, recorded classes in YouTube, and you can get that classes. Okay, so now what is multi-threading? Multi-threading means at a time simultaneously is a word, means at a time able to do many threads, at a time able to do many threads. Okay, that is called multi-threading. So if multi-threading is there, so many threads are being executed, so that moment who will decide which thread to be executed? That is the thread scheduler, because 4 threads, 5 threads are there. So who will decide this thread to be executed, this thread to be in a waiting condition? Okay, so that is the headache of the thread scheduler. What does the thread scheduler? So some threads are there. Thread scheduler consider the threads which are in runnable state. In the previous classes, I think last Friday, Saturday, I started to teach what is the life cycle of the thread. What is the life cycle of the thread? So within that, I have briefed about that 4 states: new, active, blocked and waiting, timed waiting, last is terminated. Already I have what is the life cycle of the thread. So thread scheduler looks for the runnable state threads. Runnable state means once thread is created, whenever the object is created, so that moment your thread is created. So that moment thread would be in new state. Thread would be in new state, but it is not active condition. It is not being run. It is not executed. So thread created, it is in new state. Then after, whenever you start the thread by start method, whenever you start the thread with the start method, that moment your thread will be in what condition? Active state. Active state means it has two ways, runnable and running. Runnable is what? Ready for? How many states we have discussed for thread life cycle? Thread life cycle. Thread life cycle. How many state thread life cycle? One is that new state, next active state, next waiting state, waiting oblique block, waiting oblique blocked state. Blocked state. Next is what? Timed waiting. Okay. Already I have briefed, but just I want to take a little bit of focus over this, and I want to take today's class static synchronization. Today I want to discuss static synchronization. And static synchronization, today we want to static synchronization and synchronized black. Today I want to discuss synchronized black. Okay. In the previous classes, I have discussed about the thread synchronization. Synchronization, okay, synchronized method. There are three methods, three ways to get the synchronization. One is static synchronization, synchronized black, and is that synchronized method. Synchronized method. Synchronized method. Synchronized method. Okay. So now try to understand within this, as I told you that once thread is created, that thread will be in new state. Okay. After that, whenever thread is started by, thread is called by thread method, start method, thread class start method. So thread will be in this active state. Active state has two states. One is that runnable, comma, running. I told you that what is runnable? Whenever thread is called start with the start method, so that will be in active condition, active state. Active state has two conditions, two states, runnable, running. Runnable means thread is waiting for the CPU. Okay, means thread is ready to start, ready to run. Means it is waiting for the CPU. Once CPU thread gets the CPU, the thread will be in running condition, means thread will be executed. Okay, both are part of active. So whenever thread is in waiting condition, so for some time, okay, whenever thread is put in sleep condition, in some other reasons thread is in waiting conditions, so thread will be in inactive, means thread will not be executed, it is in sleeping condition, otherwise blacked state. Okay, so what about the timed waiting? Timed waiting, I told you that, so thread is waiting for how much of time? Okay, that time to be decided, that thread scheduler allot the time. Okay, you need to wait for 10 microseconds, 1000 milliseconds. That is called timed waiting. So once that given time, sleeping time, 1000 milliseconds expired, thread will be come to fear runnable condition. Means thread will be in waiting for CPU. Whenever thread gets the CPU, that will be in running condition. So what about the terminated state? All these states I have discussed in the Sunday class, I think, previous classes. Terminated. What is terminated state? Terminated means terminated state. Terminated means thread is ended. Thread is ended. These are the thread life cycle. Okay. By the thread state, by get state method of thread class, we can be able to know all these states. Okay, I will show that. Okay, so this is the thread life cycle. Then what? Synchronization. So I have briefed that. What is synchronization? Synchronization is what? Synchronization, I told you that. So control the threads. Okay, at a time one thread to be executed. So the access of threads. Okay, controlling the access of threads. At a time one thread will be executed, ensuring that at a time one thread will be executed. That is synchronization. So especially in multi-threading, what happened, as I told you, that what is multi-threading? Multi-threading, I told you, multi-threading. What is multi-threading? Ability to what is ability? Ability to run multiple threads simultaneously means at a time. Okay, why do we need to very difficult words, little bit understandable language? Okay, so multi-threading means ability to run multiple threads at a time simultaneously, concurrently means it is, that word also will be used for that is what somewhat difficulty, general understanding language. So at a time, if we are able to run multiple threads, that is called multi-threading. Synchronization means what is synchronization? I have briefed that. What is synchronization? Synchronization means synchronization. Okay, synchronization means, what do you mean by synchronization? I told you that at a time, ensuring that at a time one thread to be executed, that is synchronization. Ensuring that at a time one thread will be executed. Okay. Only at a time, only one thread. Okay, one thread. So how only one thread will be executed? Okay, that is by synchronization. Okay, once many threads created in multi-threading means many threads I have created, maybe 2 3, as I told you that I have shown here, within here, how many threads are here? 3872. So these are part of 262 process. Out of them, which thread to be executed first? Okay, which thread to be put in wait condition? So that is the headache of thread scheduler. So thread scheduler follows some rules. Okay, some algorithms, FIFO algorithm, first in first out algorithm. Okay, and then some time of arrival and priority. Thread scheduler looks for the priority of the threads. Okay, so if thread arrives FIFO manner, first in first out manner, which is arrival first. So thread scheduler allows that thread to be executed. Okay, means CPU will be given to CPU. Okay, and time of arrival. Somewhat we need to understand that. Okay, so next is what? That is the thread scheduler. So synchronization means ensuring that at a time only one thread will be executed. So what are the ways to achieve the synchronization? Static synchronization, synchronized black, okay, synchronized method. In the previous classes, we tried to understand by this synchronized how to execute the at a time if three threads are created, how to execute at a time one thread. Okay. So now today we will try to understand static synchronization. Static synchronization. Okay, now come down. Static synchronization. This is the topic today. Static synchronization. So static synchronization means same thing is that. So try to understand in synchronization what happened. Synchronization. One object has a lock. So in Java, everything is object and classes, object oriented programming concept. Within that, what happens? Object has a class, means a lock. Okay. So whenever object has a lock, so the thread wants to access the resources. What are the resources? Means class attributes, methods. Okay. So whenever thread wants to access a method of a class, so that object has a lock. So that lock will be allotted to the thread. Okay, to access the resources. Resources are, as I told you, the resources are what? Class attributes, means class variables. Class variables. Next, methods. So these resources to be executed by the thread. So once thread wants to execute that line of code, which is part of a method is part of a class. So that method is either you can access that method as object method or static method, means class method. Under this synchronized method, under the synchronized method, there is that under this synchronized method, thread access the method or attributes, means resources by the object, So now the thread to be given a lock by the object, because we want to access that method as an object method. So object has a lock, even the class has a lock. If class provides the lock, that is called static synchronization. If object provides the lock to the thread, that is called synchronized method. Public synchronized. Public means object oriented synchronization. Okay. So today I am going to explain static synchronization. Means here the lock will be given by the class to the method, to the thread. Okay. Thread wants to execute this. Suppose a method here I want to. So let us write the code. So many theory I have briefed. So now I'm going to write the code here under the part of static synchronization. Where is that? This is the today's class, static synchronization. So as I told you, that under the static synchronization, lock will be given by the class to the thread. Okay. That's why that is static, because class oriented called static, object oriented means public method. Okay, now let us write the class. This is the okay. Now write the code here. First of all, you create a class, then take a class name, anything as you wish. Any class name, any name list. Bhanu. Today Bhanu's name I have taken here. Bhanu is a class here. So always the class name must be capital letter, then after Bhanu. Okay. Bhanu is a class name. Then open brace, close brace. Whenever class is declared, so the open brace, open brace, close brace, that is to be taken compulsory. Otherwise, if you forget that, so then you will be not able to sort out that. You will be in trouble to find out the errors. So this practice to be followed. Open brace, close brace after the class name. Okay. Then after, you need to, within this class, we need to put somewhat body. As I told you, what is the class body? Some lines of code. Okay, I will write some lines of code here. First of all, suppose if I want to write a statement for loop here, for loop syntax is what? Within the brackets. Already IDE, as I told you that IDE helps us to, this is called what? I less than equal to 10, whatever you take. After that, this is the syntax. Now you come with the braces. Here, what I want to do here, directly I have written the for loop. Okay, for all of you understood that once a class is declared, it must have a method, because nobody can be able to write this line of code under the class. The class, under this class, we can write the class attributes. Suppose x is equal to 5. X is equal to 5. This is what class attributes means, class variable. Okay, this is called class variable. Sometimes it is called field also, class variable. Okay, but if I want to write any for loop, that must be under a method. Okay, method is what? How? It is public or static. First of all, I want to write it as public. After that, because now I told you that this is static synchronization. Static synchronization means where? So I told you that static. So take it as a static. Okay, then void. Why for void? This method will not return anything. Then after method name, take a method name, any name you can take, any name, displays, you can show, you can anything. Then after you put the braces, that is very important. I told you that. So now this brace, now this line of code loop always, that is part of a method. That is part of a method. Okay. So now question is what, try to understand that this is declared in a method. Why can't I call it as a function? Simply I am mentioning here user defined method. User defined method. Why it is user defined method? Because as a programmer, I am writing the code for this. So many inbuilt methods are there. So many inbuilt classes are there under packages in Java. This is my class, defined user defined class. But so many classes are there in Java. They are predefined. Okay. So within that predefined classes, so many predefined methods are there, built-in methods. Okay. Now let's see what happened. Actually, what I'm doing here, I want to write somewhat thread in this class, and thread to be executed by in another class. Okay, so object will be created here in the main method. Object will be created. Once object is created, thread will be in new state, as I told you that. Okay, so let us try to do all the things under the static synchronization today. So once class is defined, okay, declared, under this declared class, one method declared, one body is defined. Try to understand what is the declaration. If method is declared, so there is no any body, there is no any line of code, then we will say it only the method declared without any body. Once any line of code I have written inside of the method, now body is defined. Body is defined for that method. Okay, now come down here. I told you that I want to keep somewhat try and catch blocks for try and catch blocks. Within this, I want to call the thread method, that is dot sleep method sleep. Why I have called this method as with the class name? Why Why I have called this? Because it is a static method. Okay, it is a static method. So that's why this method always called with the class name. So it is not, I need not to create an object for this sleep method. Okay, sleep method means thread will be put in somewhat 1000 millisecond. It is integer, as I have passed as a argument, as a parameter, whatever. Whenever thread is called, that moment, whatever the value I have passed, that is called argument. Okay, whenever thread is declared here, suppose thread is declared here, thread is declared. I want to pass a value here in text. So now this x is called what? Parameter, not argument, because what thread is declared here. Whenever that method is declared here. Whenever method is declared within the parenthesis brackets, if you pass any parameter, that is parameter. But once method is called, that moment you are passing any integer value, that is called your argument. Okay. So now this is okay. So then what next? Now, so I told you that always try block must be associated with a catch block.